Okay, you guys ready to go?
Yes.
Ready to roll? Okay. Good evening, guys.
Hey, Chief.
So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular town board meeting and public hearing and workshops. Today's Monday, January 28th. Please join me as we pledge allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so it's nice to see a lot of people in the audience, and we have a lot on our agenda. But the first order of business is to ask for a motion to accept the minutes of the January 7th and 10th meetings.
I make a motion?
And I second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we do have public comment on the resolutions only on the agenda, and I would just like to reiterate the procedure for that. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and your address. And, you know, the purpose of the public comment period is to allow the public to express their opinions and make their thoughts known. And the town board does not engage in dialogue during that time. I'd be happy to meet with you at a later date, or you can provide comments by email or even later tonight to have a dialogue, but really to keep the meeting moving, that's just the procedure. So I just wanted to go ahead and review that. That being said, anyone who has a public comment on any of the resolutions before us, please join us at the podium.
Good evening. John Ansbach, 20 Big Meadow Lane. I'm here in regards to the noise ordinance that the attorney wrote. First, I'd like to thank Councilman Ray for all the work he's done to help our neighbors, and I'll thank the town board for addressing this issue. I hope it passes tonight. I have some of my neighbors here who have it a lot worse than I do. As I said before, these kids have no respect for our property, our neighborhood, the speeding. I'd like to thank Chief Benson because he stood up to this more than the few previous police chiefs. I think it gives him a little teeth that he can clamp down and stop a lot of this nonsense. Again, I just want to thank the board and hope that it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Nancy Fedora Shanko. I own a piece of property here in Hyde Park. And this is the first time I'm seeing this particular resolution, and I'd like to comment on it. It seems to me that you might have contacted this owner and said to him, we will reduce fees if you will go ahead and fix this building, do whatever it is that you have to do in order to take care of this building. I wonder if you've done that. I wonder if anybody approached the man to find out if he was either physically disabled or mentally incompetent, that he could not take care of his property. Did anybody do that? Did anybody approach him and say to him, are you financially unable to take care of this property? Perhaps we can help you in some way. Instead, what we are going to do is march into his property and destroy it. Take it away from him, destroy his structures, and leave him with what? A great big bill? Maybe if you had reduced some of these fees, a building fee for perhaps, I don't know, I mean, an application for a building permit is to start is $100, and it's based on square footage. What if he's got a 2,000 square foot building? Is it going to be a $2,000 building permit? Maybe he can't afford that. But no, but my point is that this is a person we don't really know too much about, and I know I don't. And I would think that maybe we might want to take into consideration that some people in our community are not Bellafield. They're not Enclave. They're not developers. They don't have the money. They don't have $125 million to give you so that you will turn around and give them consideration. And I think that that's what's lacking in this board. It might be lacking for a lot of towns. I think that government takes it upon itself to make decisions, and it doesn't take into consideration people that are having hardship. All right? You might give them a way out, but it's usually associated with a dollar amount. If they don't pay you, they don't get what they want. Now, I don't know what the circumstances of this man is, but I kind of feel sympathy for him. You probably know a lot better than I do. All I can say is that I wish somebody had been able to talk to him person to person and say, can we help you? Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Would anyone else like to comment on any of the resolutions before us? In a few moments, we'll have the public hearing on the 3 local laws, but any other comment on the resolutions? And I'd like to welcome former Councilman Linville to the podium.
Hi,
Thanks,
thanks.
Bob. Nice to see you, as always.
Oh, it's great to be here. I hadn't intended to speak, but I see your first resolution has to do with Emily, so I want to take the opportunity to express my own and my wife's appreciation and all our neighbors, I think, for the wonderful, creative, and energetic work Emily has done for this town, and just to thank her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we couldn't agree more, that's for sure. Okay, with that being said, then we'll close that portion of our meeting, and we'll be shortly opening up the public hearing, and I know we have our chief and our lieutenant here who would like to offer some comments on our local law, but I'll go ahead and ask you to go ahead and open the public hearing for the local law amending the Hyde Park Town Code.
Please take notice that the Hyde Park Town Board shall hold a public hearing on the adoption of Local Law A of 2019 at the Hyde Park Town Hall located at 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, on January 28, 2019 at 7:05 p.m. The purpose of the local law is to provide the town and its enforcement officials with the necessary powers to control unreasonably loud and disruptive parties in the town of Hyde Park. Any person desiring to be heard on the adoption of said local law shall be permitted to do so at the public hearing. Copies of this local law shall be available at the town clerk's office during regular business hours and shall be posted on the town's official board and website. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated January 8th, 2019, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Thank you. So, Rob and Lieutenant, would you like to come on up and join us at the table, and then we can talk about it a little bit before the public is invited to speak?
Hey, Chief, Lieutenant, how are you? Good evening.
Well, thank you.
So thank you for having us and inviting us back. I know we had a meeting early in the process here to try to deal with some of these issues that we were dealing with, mainly, as they said, down on Big Meadow Lane. I think the law is written well. Warren, you did a really good job, and I think you hit all the points that need to be hit, especially the section for the noise ordinance in there, because many times that's how these calls start. Without this ordinance, we're not able to go on to people's property to go in and try to enforce any type of other laws that may be broken. This really gives us another tool to be able to help the residents for what they're going through. And it puts us in a bad spot when we arrive and we can't do a whole lot about trying to help them and live a normal life when these parties are going on. And I think once this law is enacted and we go out and we issue a few times and we go out, I think it'll stop. And that this law really is going to help us be able to enforce that and give these guys some peace.
Absolutely.
Good, they need some relief.
Yes. And I showed this to most of the officers who work the overnight shift, and they're very pleased with having this get moving along, so.
Well, we're glad to hear that. It must be frustrating when you're called to these different events and then really not be able to have any tools to enforce.
Yes, and this is going to help us be able to do that.
Well, that's great.
Rob, do you think it'd be a good idea to set up a meeting like with the Dean of Students at Marist to let them know that, this law is going to be going into effect, and maybe they can talk to their student body?
Yeah, I'll arrange that, and I'll make sure that I meet with Marist Security as well as the powers to
And maybe
be
if they know if
down
this
there.
is enacted, maybe that will stop them from even going on Big Meadow, possibly, but maybe not.
I told them this was coming, but now I
Good.
have it in front of me, and I have a hard copy of it, and I
Great.
will definitely
Great.
take care of that.
Yeah, I think a meeting is in order.
I
I'm
think
also
so.
going to meet with the
And we'd be
culinary
happy to
too,
be part
just
of that.
with
Yeah.
Bill Carey at the culinary, just so
Right.
they're all
Those
on
two do seem
board.
to be pretty good for the most part. It seems like, the mayor's kids are the ones that really give us the most trouble.
Well, and you get new kids that come in and,
Right.
they're away from home and they're trying to express themselves, but
They're
sometimes-
expressing themselves all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I heard.
Well, I know that we also have Rich Longendijk here, our fire inspector, and at parties that happened earlier in the year, say I think in September, was one of the bigger bonfires, that Chief Mater was there from the Fairview Fire Department, and he talked with the kids. And, I just want to make it clear that Rich reached out to the property owner. He met with them, he inspected the building. There were accusations that there were, 25 people living there and walls had been put up, but that's not what the fire inspector found. I think what we're seeing really is that if somebody lives there, they have a party and hundreds of people descend. So, we're eager to implement this ASAP and have introduce some controls on that situation for sure. So why don't you guys stay there if you would, and then
Sure.
just, I'd invite the public up to speak if they desire on the local law.
And this is coming at a good time because the spring session has just started. And
Yeah,
it seems
Oh.
like from historically, when I went back and looked at the records, it seemed to be September and January is the time
is the
that we
time.
had the most problems as the new semesters had started.
Yeah,
so-
maybe what we should do is write a letter. I could try to write one up tomorrow to send to Marist and Culinary,
Sure.
put them on notice, send them the process that we're engaging in, because it is, we have the public hearing tonight, and there is an item to approve tonight on tonight's agenda,
Yeah.
so.
Number 7.
How soon will they be able to use this to enforce?
As soon as we file it with the Secretary of State,
Okay.
becomes official, so
Okay.
probably in a few days.
And-
I would give it a week.
Okay, all right, so when that happens, if you let me
I'll
know, then
email
we'll
everybody.
get that letter out to both schools and look for a meeting for that too.
Yes, absolutely. I'll take
Good.
care of that.
Good, thanks. And if you guys don't mind staying, we could talk about the stop sign
Sure.
when we close the public hearing. Is that
Yes.
okay? And Lieutenant, did you have anything else that you wanted to offer? or-
Not on that.
Okay.
Chief said it all.
Good.
He's ran the whole, he's on the stop sign.
I'm on the stop
You're on the
sign.
stop
He
sign.
ran
stop
that,
sign
he ran
guy.
that while I was running this.
Delegation is.
Yes,
key,
yes.
right? Okay, good. All right, so if there are no further comments, any others?
John Ansbach, 20 Big Meadow Lane. I hope my big mouth again. This has been going on for a long time. Not only that, Chief Benson was a lieutenant a few years ago. We had another house on 2 Hook Road. And we had a large party and all the buses. And I was throwing the beer bottles off of my lawn back on the owner's lawn, and I hit the sergeant in the knee. And he says, you can go to jail. I said, well, at least I'll get some sleep tonight. But, yes, we're on the south end of town. It's close
Yeah.
to the college. We haven't had many problems over the years with culinary students.
Right.
It seems these Marist kids are coming out of Long Island and New Jersey. They speed up and down the road. A few years ago, one came past me so fast when I was shoveling. I dropped the shovel and hit his car, and he made a big to-do, and the officer that came, and he says, I can't give him a ticket because I didn't see it. I said, well, I'm not paying for that car because he almost killed me. So this has been going on, and I don't blame my neighbors. They have it a lot worse than I do. They live right next to the property, and these buses, I think step 2, the chief talked about last time, to have an ordinance on the cabs.
Yeah.
And we should look into that. Because you're stuffing, I belonged to Fairview Fire Department for 46 years, and I was a safety officer until I retired. There's supposed to be 12 or 14 passenger buses, and there's 16 to 20 kids per bus. And when spring comes, this is going to start all over again. And if you have some way, if these drivers get a fine and the college finds out about them, they're going to stop them from coming onto campus. So I think step 2 is to stop that, because coming out of Big Meadow Lane is horrific. I mean, I've had a trooper stop me once, said, you know how fast you're going down Route 9? I said, if you try to get out of Big Meadow Lane at rush hour on the Route 9 southbound, it's almost impossible. So, again, I thank Chief Benson for pushing this, and I agree with it. I hope my neighbors do. I believe they do. And I thank the board.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion.
A second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the next item on the agenda is the commencement of administrative remedies pursuant to Town Code Chapter 84-9 with regards to 25 Bircher Avenue. So, Madam Clerk, if you could read that meeting notice, or did we already have, no, this is the first public hearing.
This is the public hearing that did not publish.
Right, but I think what we're planning to do,
On 40-9.
Hey, Rich, we'll have you move up here.
yeah,
supposed
yeah.
to appear.
40-9 does not require publication of a notice of public hearing, as long as he was served.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
okay, so
No
then we have
problem.
nothing to.
No problem.
Great, excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you wouldn't,
Supposed to be here.
oh, so Warren,
So
then we
there's
don't
nothing
need
to
a
read.
public hearing?
It's a hearing is for him to
But,
appear. It's
so,
not
but
a-
should Donna read it anyway?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, yeah,
I mean, if
yeah.
anybody wants to speak on it, it's
Yeah.
fine.
I have two, I have one for the 84,
He's not
Yeah.
here, right?
84-6,
No.
Who he is.
and the 84-9.
So, we assume he is.
Okay,
The
please
Mr.
take notice. The Hyde Park Town Board will conduct a public hearing on January 28, 2018, at 7:15 PM at the Town of Hyde Park Town Hall, located at 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, for the purpose of determining whether or not the following property, 25 Bircher Avenue, is in compliance with the standards in Section 84 of the Town Code. After the public hearing, if this property is determined not to be in compliance with these standards, the town board, in its discretion, may undertake to enter the property and bring them into compliance with the standards provided for in Section 84 of the Town Code. And the costs and expenses of such remediation shall be assessed against said property in accordance with the provisions of Section 84-6H of the Town Code. Any person desiring to be heard at said public hearing shall be given the opportunity to do so. Copies of the documentation supporting the action is on file in the office of the town clerk during regular business hours for inspection purposes. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated December 17th, 2018, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Great, thank you.
Why don't we do the public hearing on
The second one.
second one at the same time?
Same time,
So
great, good.
Essentially,
84-9?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
wouldn't mind reading that one also.
Please take notice that the Hyde Park Town Board will conduct a public hearing on January 28, 2018, at 7:15 PM at the Town of Hyde Park Town Hall, located at 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, 12538, for the purpose of determining whether or not the following property, 25 Bircher Avenue, is unsafe or dangerous in accordance with the provisions of Section 40-9 of the Town Code. After the public hearing of this property, if this property is determined unsafe or dangerous, the town board in its discretion may undertake to enter the property, retain and/or demolish, and remove said building pursuant to Section 84-9 of the Town Code. And the costs and expense of such remediation shall be assessed against each said property in accordance with the provisions of Section 84-9H of the Town Code. Any person desiring to be heard at said public hearing shall be given the opportunity to do so. Copies of the documentation supporting said actions are on file in the office of the Hyde Park Town Clerk during regular business hours for inspection purposes. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated December 17th, 2018, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Great, thank you, Donna. So Pete and Rich, would you mind joining us at the table? Howie, you're welcome too. I know you went out there.
Hey, Rich, how are you? Hey, Pete.
Thanks for coming in, Rich and Pete. So, a few months back, I don't know, was it in November when, this property, it's been an ongoing affair.
Since I've worked here.
And how
Yeah.
long ago was that?
So,
3 or 4 years?
no,
right?
April of 2017. So
Okay, all right, so
and I've
I know.
sent him 11 or 12 notices.
11 or
with
12
no
notices.
response at all.
Yes, Right, and in addition, you've had the property owner in our local
In
justice court.
and he has not shown up once to justice court either.
Okay, and, you know, we've had so many complaints regarding it, and I know that we've had our highway department mow there.
Several
but
times.
Several times, and each time they go, it requires a town board action. It isn't as if we can authorize it once and they can keep going. It's not a lawn service. So, you know, so
Rodents.
it's, you know, so, yeah.
Coyotes.
A few months back, we had some of the neighbors here who were increasingly alarmed at the condition. And because it's in such poor condition, we now have people that are dumping there, you know, putting mattresses or other items that are just obviously neglected and put there by other people. So, you know, we've had long discussions on the next steps, and I know you've been there several times, as has Pete. So do you want to give us like an update of the status of the buildings and the plan to go forward?
The garage, the middle building, is collapsed already. The front building, Pete may be able to speak a little bit better on that. There's no sill plate left to the house. It's just pretty much just sitting there, hanging there, basically. And there's a trailer further back on the property that looks uninhabitable also.
Yeah, so I had gotten some rough prices to demolish the building. We would need a pre-demolition survey to review potential hazardous waste. So I talked to a local environmental company that we do some work with, and they gave me a price of $3,000 to do the pre-demolition survey. I talked to Don Westermeyer, and, you know, and he also concurred that we would need to do that, you know, before we took action. And then I talked to a local contractor who's done this type of work before. So their cost to take down the house and the garage is about $5,000. That includes $1,600 for an excavator with a claw on it that would be able, you know, to pick it. And then he estimated about 40 tons of material at $85 a ton, which is about another $3,400. So that's how we get to the $5,000. And again, these are just rough numbers, and as I said in my email last week, these are costs assuming that we wouldn't find any hazardous you know, materials in the building. So it's a rough cost of about $8,000 total, with no hazardous materials.
Okay. So both contractors that you spoke with would be able to fit it into their schedules? Did you get
Yeah, I
that?
would probably have to get some, I'd probably have to get some quotes for the demo work, because I believe it's over $3,500, so I may need to get,
You
you know,
would-
a
I
few
think we-
quotes.
Verbal quotes with town board approval?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
think. So maybe we could actually give you that approval tonight by a resolution at the board? Is that okay?
That'd be good.
I'm good with that.
You good with that?
I'm good with that.
Yep.
Now, the trailer, what was the
Yeah,
trailer?
What would
was?
we do with the trailer if that was
was-
just for those two?
Yeah,
Can we get
was
them
the-
to take the trailer too?
yeah, was the trailer like a mobile home type thing, or,
Yeah.
yeah, a camper?
No, no. it's
Mobile
a
home, right?
Mobile home.
But it's not, is it on the wheels still?
It's still on the frame.
Still on the
It's not
frame.
on the foundation at all.
Yeah, I mean, what do we do with those other cars out to the other place? We had to get a salvage yard to come
Yeah,
in
they came and took
and do that?
Yeah.
Is that, the contractor couldn't break that up and put it in the dumpster?
I don't know about, you know, the weight of that was probably pretty substantial. I think we'd rather talk to a salvage yard
Salvage
first
Okay,
to see if it might be cheaper to do it that way.
With all the steel, aluminum, the copper on the inside,
Yeah,
if there's any left in there.
yeah, I don't know what condition it is. I'll have to go out and look at it tomorrow before it snows. All right, so I
Okay.
can check on that, the trailer for salvage.
okay. So, Warren, maybe you could just kind of tell us what the next steps legally are?
Well, I prepared resolutions that would authorize you to take whatever action you want with regard to the property maintenance violation in the unsafe building, so that there they're phrased in a way that we can make our decisions depending on the cost and on how to move forward. It would allow us to contract with a contractor to clean up the property and to remove the rubbish and to treat the property for, well, tear down the building, both buildings, and remove the structures on the building. If we're not obligated to do that, but if we determine based on the projected cost that we want to move forward, the resolution you'll pass tonight will permit you to do that. So I would advise that we get all our the projected cost in writing from whoever's going to do the work for us, and then we can just make an internal decision to move forward with that.
But as Pete alluded to, the procurement policy requires us to get 3 bids, most likely.
Well, and I'd probably have
Not
to,
bids, but proposals.
You don't have to send it out to
3.
bid, you would just,
No, but proposals. we still-
proposals, you can call them up and get them on
So
the
do we
phone.
have to add that to the resolution or not?
No, that's,
Because it's
you always have to
inherent in
comply
it.
with the,
I know, but what I'm saying is that the procurement policy requires us to give town board approval to
but-
authorize them to seek proposals.
so why don't we orally
Okay.
amend the order
That's
to
right.
authorize the
To seek proposals.
seeking proposals for both the property maintenance and the
Okay.
unsafe building.
the only thing is I'd have to do the pre-demolition survey first to make sure that we don't have any hazardous,
Right.
materials, because that would affect the disposal
But
price.
that's under the procurement policy number, isn't it? It's only, what, 3
Well,
bids?
that's,
You would
wha-
procure those
that's-
services also, right?
professional services, so
Right.
that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
require.
exceptional.
Oh,
So that's okay, that's,
Okay.
that's,
okay.
fine.
Okay.
But that will tell us then if we have hazardous or not hazardous, and that affects the
Right.
disposal
That's
price
right.
depending on where the material goes. So
Right.
I'll go ahead and get that, and then once we get that back, so I'll talk to the environmental company tomorrow.
Sounds
Rich,
good.
do you know what
About
the
that.
outcome was over at court? No, there was a no-show, were fines imposed?
No, it was held over for trial on February 19th, I believe it's going to be. And the judge said if he doesn't show in court, they're going to try him in absentia.
Okay.
So in order for the company to go in and do whatever they have to do to check things out, any special permissions, or just by the resolution that the town board would pass tonight that would authorize us to enter the property and do whatever we have to do, or?
We need the court order.
What were you asking? I was looking for the
Yes.
resolutions, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pete's question was just simply,
It's
does
Resolution 5 and 6, Warren.
5 and 6?
does that
Okay.
authorize us to allow the
Environmental testing.
environmental confirm to go in and examine the property? Or do we have to do anything else?
When we get to the resolution, I'll add some language to the resolution.
Okay,
That
Okay.
it authorizes that?
that's fine.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the situation with these property maintenance violations or any of these types of situations where the town has to go in and take action to clean up the property or to perform actions to make it safe, those are billed to the property owner, and if they're not paid, they are added to the tax bill, and then they are collected that way. And, just for further information on that, the county makes the town whole in the beginning of the year for our taxes, so we are certain to recoup that amount, even if the property does not pay their taxes.
Just a question about the court. He went to court, he didn't show up, but he's scheduled to come back on the 19th. Do we have to wait for the judge to make a decision on that before we act?
I don't
No.
believe so.
We don't need a court order,
No, because these are
No.
two separate,
It's on
Separate
two
issues.
separate
separate
issues.
parallel tracks.
okay?
We're going, and we went into justice court in the
Right.
hopes that we could resolve it there. The justice court can impose fines,
Okay,
but
Gotcha.
these are, this is the property maintenance
Maintenance side.
action.
Okay.
Where we can go.
That's right.
through, So, all right, well.
Okay, well, we'll do the, the survey, and then, we'll go from there once we know what
Yeah.
that is, and I can
Good.
go out and get prices for the demo.
Good, well, thank you. Thank you both for coming in. Rich, appreciate it, and
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Pete.
we'll keep you all in the loop as we move ahead. Good, okay.
I make a motion to close the public hearing on that.
Well, actually,
Oh.
we didn't allow
Oh.
the public to speak.
Oh, right, gotcha. We didn't know, that's right.
So, getting ahead of me
I'm
now.
sorry, I'm
He's-
sorry.
Trying to move it
getting
along.
ready to- So, if anyone would like to speak on this resolution, please state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Fedoroshenko, and I would like to ask, did you gentlemen say that there was automobiles on that property? Did you say that there was automobiles on the property? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought he said that there were automobiles on the property. There aren't any autos there, and the trailer doesn't have a title. If there was, then you would have to go through the state in order to get rid of those titles, and I'm sure that you folks know that. On the other hand, I'm outraged that you would do this. This is paramount to a taking of a person's personal property. You are tearing down his home. Whether or not he lives there or not is immaterial. It is a structure that belongs to somebody else. Doesn't belong to you, does it? You're concerned about the welfare of everybody in this town, and I sympathize with those people that have to look at the garbage that's on that property. But I strongly support the rights of people who own property. You don't have the right to go in there and destroy that man's house. I think it's outrageous that you would do such a thing. You are engaging in what I consider to be a taking of the man's property, because in the end, you will hand him a bill so high, this man will never be able to, recover. I'm just totally, totally outraged.
Well, thanks for those comments. So let's keep moving. Would anyone else like to comment on this situation? Okay, with that, may I have a motion to close the
I make a
public
motion to close
hearing?
the public hearing.
I second that.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, well, we kind of combined the public hearing with the workshop on 25 BIRCHER, unless you have anything else that we want to add to that?
No, we're fine.
Rich, you good on that? You don't want to have anything to add?
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks, Rich. I'm sure you're looking forward to getting home tonight. We have, the second item on the workshop agenda is a discussion on the STAATSBURG stormwater improvements. And Howie and Pete, would you mind joining us at the table? So thank you both for coming in. We've had lots and lots and lots of conversations about this issue. I'm sad that Emily's not here to be part of this discussion, because I know she has spent
Near and dear to
countless
her.
hours trying to figure out how we address the stormwater that floods Hyde Park, floods Staatsburg, particularly from the Dinsmore Golf Club, golf course. So I know.
Talk a little bit about what you've seen? or
Yeah, do you
over
guys
this
want to
past
just
summer,
kind
or
of
just wanna
review where we
jump
are?
in? Just me jump in? Okay, so yeah, so this has been an ongoing problem, for years. Bob, and I, were dealing with it way back when too, so.
Oh, so Bob, you decided to come back? And
So, this past summer, we had several flash flood-like events. And I think we had, what, 2 or 3? 4. How about that? And, each time that culvert that is behind the Whitman's house there, had flooded, and it came over top of the Portofino's parking lot, would flood out, Mulford Avenue, but within a very short period of time, it subsided. So, Howie had approached us about, the possibility of replacing the section of pipe that goes underneath the Portofino parking lot. We know from inspection that the section of pipe under the Portofino's parking lot is only a 36-inch pipe. The brick arch culvert that's under the Whitmans, and then also is in Mulford Avenue and crosses underneath the property right across the street. That's a larger pipe. It's like a 48 by 72. So the pipe underneath the Portofino's parking lot is a restriction. So, you know, the thought was, how much would it cost to go in and replace the 36-inch pipe with a 60-inch pipe, which is probably the largest pipe that we could get, and fit there. So, you know, we know that that wouldn't totally solve, you know, the flooding if we get, you know, a 10-year storm, which is 3.5 inches of rain in 24 hours, or a 25-year storm, which is 6 inches of rain, you know, in 24 hours. But we feel pretty comfortable that if we do replace it with the 60-inch pipe, that the storm events we saw this past summer wouldn't cause the problems that, you know, we've seen. So I was asked to, you know, to look at that. To that end, I went down to the Dutchess County Department of Health, because we also know that the Portofino's, their former Portofino's, septic system is underneath that parking lot also. So from the plans that I got from the County Health Department, their septic system is fairly close to the 36-inch pipe, so we'd have to, you know, be careful of that. So after we had, you know, some meetings, I was asked to come up with some prices. So I submitted that, and I'm not going to get into, you know, like all of it, but we came up with a cost of about $75,000 to replace the pipe. Now, that would be for an outside contractor to come in and do it all. You know, at first we thought perhaps there could be some help from the highway department, but Howie got pretty behind from all of the rain last year, so he's pretty behind on his drainage from last year. And so, you know, we decided that it would probably be better if we got an outside contractor to do this work. So we came up with the cost, you know, and we presented it. So it's really up to the town board whether we want to move to the next step, which the next step would be for me to contact the owner of Portofino's and discuss this with him or her, because we would need to get an easement. So if we go in and, you know, replace the pipe, then we would ask for an easement from the Portofino's owner, and then also there'd be a short section of easement that's on the Whitman's property, because there's I don't know, there's probably about like 15 or 20 feet that we have to go onto their property also. So that would be, you know, our next step if we're going to, you know, proceed with it. So, you know, again, this is not going to solve the problem, but we think it's going to greatly help some of the storms that we saw last year. And I should also note that the company that does you know, the catch basin cleaning, they did a full inspection of that whole section of line, because like initially we thought that there may be something in the pipe that got lodged in there and was clogging and holding back the water, but that wasn't the case from what we're told, and from what, you know, you saw. The pipe is the pipe is open.
So it's clear.
Yeah, so we're pretty confident that, you know, the 36-inch restriction under Portofino's is, you know, one of the big issues there.
And going from a 36 to a 60, I mean, you have entrenched in me that, you know, when you have a restriction and you open it up, there's always a cause and effect further downstream, no issue.
No, because we've got, back in 2008 or 2009, we had upgraded the piping system that's in Old Post Road.
Okay.
So if we go to this, it's not gonna be an issue for it.
You can handle it going
Right,
there,
we can
okay.
handle it, yep. Yep.
Well, good. Actually, you gave an abbreviated version of all the work that's been done.
Well, I didn't think you wanted to take too long.
Well, but I would say
If you wanna
maybe in
expound on it a little
yeah,
bit, that's
I
fine.
think in 2013, perhaps, or 2014, Emily wrote a grant so that
Oh, yeah,
we
right.
could do a study of what the issue is and possible solutions. So that included the concept of building retention, is it
Retention ponds on the
detention,
golf
or-
course,
yes,
yep.
Ponds on the golf course. And so she and I met with Superintendent of Parks, Linda Cooper, to, ask that they find a couple $1 million to do this improvement, but strangely, they weren't that interested in finding that money for that particular use. But, we have had subsequent conversations, and I've reached out to Senator Serino's office, and a few months back, really in last summer when we were experiencing these flash floods, and I did get an email from Lydia Biscup, her aide, today, and asked, can we try to coordinate a meeting with the Park Service? So, with the state parks. So I think that is something that we really do still want to push forward.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because, as Pete has described, we think that this is a partial solution, but
Partial
not
solution,
a
right.
total solution. So, it's important that we do this, though, because, we have a lot, in addition to all the homes, you have the civic uses there, you have the library and the
Firehouse.
Roseville Firehouse. So, the flooding is a pretty significant impact. And, Warren had explored all the legal issues and written a memo on how and was very persuasive with the town comptroller that these costs are important to the community at large and that are justifiable. So they are preparing a bonding resolution to authorize the expenditure of these funds, and that will be on the 11th, the meeting on the 11th.
Okay.
And so then that is subject to permissive referendum. So I would say that our next step is to vote on the bonding resolution. And, Pete has suggested that it would be $75,000 as the intended or the projected cost. So we'll plan on doing that on the 11th, and once that meets the time expiration, then I think the next step would be to talk to the property owners.
Okay, so I should wait till after the
Or do you think we could do
bond
that in
resolution.
advance?
Yeah, I see no reason why we can't just do an oral vote to authorize Pete to move forward and talk to the property
Okay.
owners and not wait,
All right.
okay?
That sounds
Because
good.
he's not committing us to do anything.
Okay, but
No,
as
we
long
just
as
need
we
to have a
have, yes, because
discussion.
we have the endorsement of the comptroller, and that was the most important piece.
Right.
All right, good.
And also, just to add
we should
a
add.
little bit, Howie and I had met in November, I think, with, the Park Service
Yeah.
again, and we took a ride
Yeah.
around, and there's just, as we've discussed, there's just a tremendous volume of water.
Yes.
There's hundreds and hundreds of acres that stretch to the east side of 9
Right.
that drain down
Yeah.
through, the golf course and end up right at,
That's where it goes.
Staatsburg there, and,
Yeah.
the hamlet, and it's just a tremendous amount of water. And, the videos that you see,
Are amazing.
with the water that runs
6 foot
through
deep.
that golf course is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I mean, maybe there's still some opportunity to look
Yeah.
at doing some retention ponds
And maybe
there.
it doesn't have to be the complete plan,
No.
with I think it was 7 or 8 suggested ponds, and, maybe it could be modified.
Yeah,
and-
we looked at a couple,
Yeah.
areas that might have a pretty significant, impact and really wouldn't impact the golf course all that much.
Yeah.
So I think
Well,
there's,
they're very eager to talk with us.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of money, just like
as always,
everything else, right?
just as always, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yep.
All right, well, I feel good that we're getting ahead of the game here, because it's only January, and it seems like the flooding is most problematic in the summer, so let's hope.
Normally.
Good. All right, Howie, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Quiet.
I am
What's the matter?
quiet.
You all right?
He's thinking about the storm coming in.
Yeah, he's got a home.
It's been a long day.
It's 3 to 6.
But you also have to remember, most of our drains in Hyde Park can't handle the 25-year storm, the 3.5 inches and the 20. There's nothing that can.
That's right.
But for some of those ones we had this year, this will solve that problem. And if it is something that we can maybe add to down the road or do something different, it wouldn't have to be as big a scale.
Right.
So I think it's a great move. I think we'll do fine with it.
Great.
Good, great, good. Okay, Well, thank you.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Warren, did you want to talk about the dissolution of the fire districts?
Oh, well, we've taken the necessary steps to dissolve the Arbors, Greenbush, Violet Avenue, Pine Brook Estates, Quaker Hills, and Greenfields Water District, and the Pine Brook Estates Sewer District pursuant to Section 787, parentheses 2 of the General Municipal Law. So we've completed all of those processes, the notice requirements, and we are now finished. So those water and sewer districts are now dissolved, and they are in the good hands of Dutchess County Water and Wastewater. We are still holding on to the Greenfield Sewer District because we have an EFC bond, and we have an agreement with DCWWA to maintain that. And when that bond is satisfied, we'll continue the dissolution of that sewer district also.
Warren, I'm sorry, but isn't Resolution 21, we're going to dissolve that tonight?
We're dissolving the
Greenfield's Water and Sewer?
No, we don't have,
It's-
I didn't do any resolution.
advisory committee.
It's just the advisory.
No, that's setting up-
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're just dissolving the advisory.
Oh, did you do that?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
just a mechanical, there's an
Yeah.
advisory
Yes,
committee.
Which
yes,
no
yes.
longer
No, but no,
functions.
it doesn't
I'm with
exist,
you.
so we're
I'm
dissolving.
sorry, yep.
Keeping our records
And
clean.
I cleared
that's
that
what
with
we're doing.
DCWWA.
Yes, I'm
right?
sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine, good. All right, and then
Perfect.
I won't go into the zoning update yet because I know that we still have our chief and our lieutenant here, and I believe you're waiting, you're here because you want to talk about the stop sign. So why don't you guys come on up here and we'll just talk about it, and then you'll be able to head out,
Go home to your family.
go home to your family.
Sorry.
So, yeah. And again, this was something that Emily was contacted about, and then I know she reached out to you guys. and-
Yeah, Emily Svensson reached out to the chief in regards to complaints that were made to her about the lack of traffic control at the intersection of Green Tree Drive North, South, and Hemlock Lane. The chief had asked me to go out there and take a look. He said that Howie from Highway had been out there. The superintendent went out there and looked. So he asked if I would go out there, take some pictures, and just kind of look at it from all angles to see if it was something that would be viable, and something that would, work for the residents there. I did go out, took some pictures, walked around a little bit from all the different angles, spoke with some of the residents there about their concerns, and I basically concurred with the complainants, meaning that there was a viable need for a stop sign at that location because it really is kind of a blind intersection, and there's no way to control traffic outside of having a stop sign. Even a yield sign would not be a viable solution for that particular problem. So I reported back to the chief, and I also spoke with the highway superintendent.
Great. Howie, actually, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, we both agree, it needs a stop sign.
Okay, great. All right, it's surprising that it took this long for us to really get that feedback.
And one of the other concerns there was that the bus actually turns around at that location, a school bus does. So one of the residents stated that a school bus was almost hit by an oil truck actually coming through there. So
That's
we're going to
pretty
meet with George
terrifying,
Treadwell
yeah.
and see if we can rectify that.
I did speak,
situation.
I spoke
Very
with
good.
George, yeah, I reached out to George and gave him that information. He said he would take care of it. I haven't heard any, because I spoke with the residents that lived in that vicinity, who made me aware of that. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm gonna reach out to this highway superintendent. If it continues to happen, with the bus turning around there, if there's any, near misses, please give me a call, and I'll reach out to Emily and see if we can't speed this thing up a little bit. But she moved pretty quick
Yeah.
once
and,
she got that
Great
complaint.
cooperation from everyone, so thank you. All right.
Because Emily's speeding through the.
Yeah,
Well, she's
that was where the
always
complaint
late,
came
you
from.
know.
Yeah, that's why she's not here tonight.
No, but it's important for residents to let us know about dangerous situations on the
Definitely.
roadways that
Right.
they observe. They live there, they're there all the time, so if we don't get these complaints to be able to look at them and see if they're valid complaints and things that we can address, you know, we don't know about it unless they make us
Sure.
aware of it, so.
And we'll certainly come out, like I said, you know, once the chief had gotten the information from Emily, you know, he kind of put me on it, and, you know, we're interested in what anybody has to say. Whether we can do something about it or the town can do something about it, we'd like to at least address it or point them in the right direction.
Well, I know that there are frequently requests that you monitor speeding in various neighborhoods, so I know you've kind of ramped up that effort to post cars in different neighborhoods and.
Yeah, and we're gonna utilize the speed trailer more, but it's hard to put it out now because when these
Snow
storms come
removal.
along, you know, Howie needs all the room he can.
Yeah.
Is
to
the
push 'em
speed
along.
trailer is
Yes,
is up
it's
and
working.
working? Oh,
Yep.
great.
Yeah,
That's-
good.
Yep,
that's
we got it,
wonderful.
knock on wood.
Yeah.
That's gonna be another grant down the road that I'm gonna look to get a new one.
Yeah, I know,
Good.
we need to replace it, but yeah, I'm
But
glad
yeah,
it's
it's a
working.
nice tool because I think people don't even realize how fast they're
Yeah,
going
no, it's
because
true,
they're
'cause
so
they're
used to the
involved in their own-
roadway.
Mhm.
So the speed trailer that we have now has software that will tell us the speeds, the high speeds, the low speeds, what time of day it's occurring the most. So if we are to target patrols there, we'll know when the most
Right.
violations are
Oh,
occurring.
that's good, yeah, good
So when we were
information.
dealing with the information out on Cream Street, when we were talking about maybe reducing the speed limit out
Yeah.
there, we
Oh,
put it
next to the
out, and we were
park.
able to get, really good data out of that. So
Yeah,
it's a great tool for us to have, but as we said tonight, it's all about money.
it certainly is. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
have a
very
good
much.
Thank you,
night.
thank
And
you
thanks
so
for your
much, guys.
cooperation.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, so, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about, a, effort that we've been undertaking. As everybody knows, we've kind of dubbed it the Downtown Initiative, and we started that numerous years ago with the NYSERDA grant. And essentially, the Downtown Initiative has three prongs, three separate initiatives within the larger. And so, back in May of 2018, a zoning and engineering study was completed by Delaware Engineering that was funded by the NYSERDA grant for the redevelopment of the town center. And of course, the goal of that effort is to produce a more vibrant, pedestrian-friendly, mixed-use center. So, again, the project had three facets: advancing our sewer system to serve this area, creating a pedestrian improvements to and to create new zoning that would enable this more dense, vibrant area to flourish. And we have taken efforts to effectuate the three aspects of the study. So we are running parallel on all these efforts, as people probably are aware of. We've had 3 public meetings on the sewer component. We have built several sidewalks to effectuate the pedestrian component, and we're also working on creating new zoning for the area that would enable this more vibrant commercial use. So on February 25th, we will have a downtown initiative update that will provide information on all 3 of these. But for tonight's purposes, though, I'd just like to give everyone a brief snapshot on the zoning update. And I know that you've heard a lot about the other components, but I do think it's important to just kind of introduce where we are with the zoning as we will be going forward with a number of town board actions. So about 6 months ago or so, we forged a committee to work on the project that included planning and town board members, county planning officials, the town attorney, and a planner, Bonnie Franson from Nelson, Pope, and Voorhis, to utilize the findings of the Delaware Engineering Planning and Report to create this zoning that would be reflective of the input that we received at our various open houses. So the zoning had several objectives to meet so that we can achieve this goal of a vibrant town center. So we're looking to increase our residential density, create design changes to promote commercial on the first floor with residential above. And it was basically with an emphasis on creating a downtown feel by bringing buildings closer to the street with enhanced public spaces, smaller setbacks, and close proximity to each other. And basically, the model that we used is a form-based code as opposed to a Euclidean-type code where it's more about the how the buildings relate to the street rather than their specific uses. So we were really lucky to have such wonderful people to work with, including our consultant who had developed the Crossroads Core zoning for us, but also the Heather Lavarnway from County Planning really dug into the project and was able to help us in a lot of different ways. So, you know, everyone has here in front of them, I've given you all a memo that was produced by Bonnie, and it basically takes a lot of historical data and merges it into a document that lays out the distant history as well as the more recent history as far as the Delaware Engineering Report. And it comes up with a number of recommendations and plans for how we can really move ahead on creating this vibrancy while still embracing our historical roots and looking forward to a 21st century town. So that's a lot to combine in one effort, but I feel strongly that we have done a very good job of finding those that sweet spot where we can combine all those different efforts. So that is, I just wanted people to kind of walk through that a little bit, and you'll see that there's a lot of photos from Hudson Valley communities that we'll be able to utilize and have driven the standards and that we will be adding to our zoning code. At the boundaries of the district, I kind of produced the map, and I did not make copies for everyone, but that's a slightly different map. But actually, it's a valuable map because what this shows is our parallel efforts. You know, it kind of identifies the zoning districts that we're working on, as well as where the sidewalk improvements are and where sewer is. So zoning is the oblong and the sidewalk are both the oblong part. And then the rectangular part is our sewer district, and the gold part, the gold section is where the sidewalks will be. So, but the proposed zoning district, let's see, it runs on the east side of 9 from Van Dam to Boyce Road, and then on the west side from Mansion, from the north side of Mansion up to the south side of Harvey Street. So it's this area that is outlined in violet. And that abuts on the north, the Crossroads Core District, which we created a few years back, with very similar desires and standards. However, there are some subtle variations because of the nature of the existing land use pattern and in this Pine Woods intersection. So, and then on the south, it is borders the Town Center Historic District that was prior to the creation of the Crossroads Core. The entire zoning Route 9 was in the area between the drive-in and the national park at Vanderbilt was one zoning district. So the original comprehensive plan envisioned a lot of nodes to occur on the Route 9 and 9G, and nodes of commercial activity. And somehow that was kind of missed when the zoning was adopted. And so we've been really seeking to create those differences in our linear town corridor to really create this downtown, which I think we all agree, Hyde Park has been missing, and that it would benefit not just the business owners, but the community at large, because we will have, in addition to more of the services and businesses and goods, products that people want, it will help our tax base, because it will be, the property will be more densely developed and more valuable. So even though it isn't in the neighborhood of the entire community, it does really have significant benefits for everyone. So again, that's kind of where the district is imagined to be, or projected to be. And this is really just kind of kicking off the public part of the process. We will have a lengthy time where we're discussing it, where there will be a lot of resolutions coming through. On the February 25th, we will have the update, so the public will be able to really get a much more specific picture of what is being proposed. And there will be plenty of opportunities for public comment and public engagement. And so I just really wanted to kind of put that out there for all of you. You'll see that we do have a couple of agenda items that refer to this, as well as one for kicking off the sewer district process. So if I didn't put all of you to sleep,
No.
do you guys have any questions?
No.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's really, it's
Years of work.
years
this
and
point.
years of work that, so many of the planning documents just get left on a shelf. And the Delaware engineering report is not being left on the shelf. I mean, it's really already inspired significant actions on our part, and the zoning is one that will really enable the property owners, once they have the infrastructure, to build the type of
Yep.
businesses and density and vibrancy that we're looking for. So I just wanted to put that out there and look forward to you guys engaging more in the process, and as well as the public.
Absolutely.
Warren, did you have
Exciting.
anything to add to that?
No.
All right, good.
I will
I
in the
think you were all falling
I
asleep.
will in the future, but
Right.
All right,
You
good.
will.
All right, so moving on to our resolutions. And Dave, I think that you will have the very first one.
Yeah, it's one I don't want to read, obviously, but we have to. Resolution 128-1 of 2019, resolution acknowledging the resignation of Emily Svensson as Town of Hyde Park Ward 1 council member. And I hate to read that, but I wish her so much good luck, and admitted to the bar now. She has a new career, but she's going to help you a lot, I'm sure, with the downtown initiatives.
She is.
And she'll be around. She's a worker.
Yeah, but
I'll miss her.
we will all miss her. In fact, when I came in, I thought I heard her laugh, and I was like, no, wait. Not tonight,
Good
but
laugh.
yeah.
I texted her today, I said, I'm sure you'll be home watching Channel 22.
Did you
You are,
text
I
her?
am.
Second.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
You're
do that.
waiting for that. weren't
Yeah.
I was.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, yeah, it's sad to say farewell to Emily, but it's not really farewell.
Actually, it's
It's
not.
only see you later.
It's not sad, she put in a lot of hard work over these
Absolutely.
years, and she had a lot of her agenda that she wanted to accomplish. I mean, look at the gas station tore down on the corner of
Right.
Green Tree, and just so many things that she has done, and so I'm excited for her next step, and I'm excited for the next step of the town board, so
Yeah.
it's a good time
Me too.
for everyone.
All right, well, we are very fortunate to have another wonderful resident of the Ward 1 who is willing to step up and try his hand at leading the people of Ward 1 to make our town an even better place.
Yeah, so we'll get to that shortly.
Anyway, so actually, we have a second resolution
Yeah.
about Emily, yes?
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
this is good news. Resolution 128-2 of 2019, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to establish and appoint Emily Svensson to the position of Downtown Initiative Coordinator for the Town of Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Emily will be doing that on a voluntary basis, and very grateful for that. So now we have resolution number 3.
Yes, 128-3 of 2019, resolution acknowledging the resignation of Neil Krupnick as member of the Town of Hyde Park Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now, resolution 4, replacing Emily with Neil. That's what it looks like. Resolution 128-4 of 2019, resolution appointing Neil Krupnick to the position of Town Board Member, Ward 1, until January 1, 2020.
Second.
And
Should we
should
do
we have a
a,
roll call on that, Donna?
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rourke.
Aye. So in a moment, we'll have Neil sworn in, and he can join us up here at the dais. And
Right.
just want to say thank you, Neil, for stepping up, and you've been a great volunteer for the town. You've been on the ZBA and really got us rolling on our new Civic Plus website, and have just done so much for the Hyde Park Visual Environment Committee, and we're really eager to have you join us here, and we're really eager for you to get to work and start applying all those great skills that you have from running your business in the, was it the video and promotion business? Close enough. All right, great. So, Donna, do you want to?
Swear him in.
I'm going to go on down. Maybe we should all go down.
Yeah, all go down.
Let's all go down. Hi, Joe.
Yeah.
There's your foot, Warren. There's your foot. Is it better?
Congratulations, sir. So glad you're joining us.
Do you want to stand next to your husband? I'll take a picture. You sure? Okay.
You just like filming pictures. Yeah. Oops.
I, Neil Krupnick,
I, Neil Krupnick,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of Ward 1 councilperson
of Ward 1 councilperson
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
You're so sworn.
All right.
That's great.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it won't be the same.
Not quite, but that's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, Joe.
Look at
It talks about a hearing, but it doesn't have, it's really a hearing for him. Because I would have put it in this.
Well, I tried to arrange it. Sure.
That's what Bull knows. He's leading us.
Okay, I think it's my turn.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
2 inches too wide.
Do you guys need, do you need a little more room down that way?
I'll just knock him off.
No, we don't want him falling off the dais
The first
first.
night.
Gets out of line, boom, he's off.
Neil, hopefully you've been studying how this works.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Councilman, we're on Resolution 5, so if you want to.
Oh, really? He's got to jump right into it? We're
Of
not
course.
even gonna-
Well, no, Joe's reading. I just wanted to let him know
Joe's
where
gonna
we're
do it.
at.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
It'll go to
You have a
Joe then.
minute to compose yourself.
Joe.
Okay, Resolution 128-5 of 2019, resolution authorizing entrance on the property owned by Anthony J. Hogan, located at 25 Bircher Avenue in the town of Hyde Park, to bring the property into compliance with the standards of Chapter 84 of the Town Code, and to assess the cost of such action against the property as a lien and charge on the same.
Second.
And Warren's going to add a little language to the resolution.
Okay, and just for the record, this property owner who I believe is a resident of Red Hook, has been given numerous notifications of the violations and opportunities and requests to comply that he's totally ignored. Property is not his residence, it's abandoned, it's been abandoned for many years. So the language we need to add to both resolutions would be the town will comply with the requirements of the procurement policy in retaining all services as may be required to enforce this law. And that would be added to both resolutions, and both resolutions will be served upon the property owner again.
Okay. Do we need a roll call for that one? Should we, would that make?
Do you want to do a motion to add that?
Oh, yes, do a yes.
Make
so
a motion
there's
to amend
Second.
Resolution 128.5 and 128.6.
I second that.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Councilman Krupnik.
Yes.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye.
Navy.
Resolution 128-6 of 2019, resolution ordering repair and/or removal of structures owned by Anthony J. Hogan pursuant to Section 40-9 of the Town Code for 25 BIRCHER Avenue in the town of Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait.
Did
We
I
should
do
probably do a roll
on that?
call.
Yeah, roll call on that.
Okay.
Councilman Krupnik.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye.
Resolution 128-7 of 2019, resolution adopting local law number A of 2019 entitled, "A Local Law Amending the Hyde Park Town Code to add a new chapter 78 entitled Nuisances."
And,
Second.
okay, and a roll call, please?
Councilman Krupnik.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye, aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
And Supervisor Rohr.
Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Sorry
you
that-
for
Thank
coming.
you, sir.
Hopefully that helps.
So keep going.
Did we vote on that?
Who's reading that?
Dave, are you?
Me.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Keep going.
Just
keep
clearing my
going.
throat.
Just keep going.
Resolution 128-8 of 2019, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute a payment in lieu of taxes agreement for Salt Point Solar LLC pursuant to real property tax law 487 and local law number 10 of 2018, and the agreement to guarantee demolishing or decommissioning for Salt Point Solar LLC in accordance with the provisions of Section 130-8 of the Town Code.
Okay, Warren's going to add a little.
Yeah,
Okay.
these, there are two resolutions, one for the pilot agreement and the other for the demolition that's required, guarantee of demolition that's required by the
Decommission.
planning board.
Decommission.
We are still in the process of changing the language to those agreements. So we're passing the resolution with the understanding that the agreements in their final form as approved by the attorney to the town will be the agreements that will be signed. But we're authorizing the supervisor to sign them tonight, subject to that.
Okay. So all in favor?
Second.
Need a second.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, resolution 128-9 of 2019, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute an agreement with the County of Dutchess to provide police patrols in connection with driving while intoxicated laws for 2019.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 128-10 of 2019, resolution appointing David McNary as a member of the Town of Hyde Park Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, David.
Yes, thank you.
Resolution 128-11 of 2019, resolution acknowledging the resignation of Town of Hyde Park Police Officer Joseph Wazalewski.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 128-12 of 2019, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to designate Kathleen Moss and David Ray as voting representatives to the Dutchess County MS4 Coordination Committee for 2019.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I hope I can get along with Ted.
And actually, For resolution number 13, I'm just going to ask for a slight amendment to that resolution. And instead of,
We're going to take
We're-
Ken
yes,
off
we're
of
gonna-
highway, police.
yeah.
Take me off
We're
MS4.
going, Dave, I hope you won't be offended, but Neil is going to be the liaison to the building and planning departments, as well as the ZBA. So I think it makes sense for him to also be the liaison to the planning board, because essentially we really don't have a planning department other than our planning board. So I'm going to just make the motion to change Neil to include planning board as one of Neil's duties and remove it as one of Dave's duties.
Okay.
And Dave, you have moved into the MS4
Yes.
committee, okay?
So I make a motion to amend?
And,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Joe, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Resolution 128-13 of 2019 as amended. Resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Town Board to appoint town board liaisons to the town and community for 2019.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 128-14 of 2019, resolution designated 2018 emergency interim successor for the Town of Hyde Park Supervisor and emergency management coordinator for the Town of Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 128-15 of 2019, resolution approving budget revisions to the Town of Hyde Park for the period of December 2018, budget revisions, number 2018-12.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 128-16, resolution approving 2018 reserve for encumbrances for the town of Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 128-17 of 2019, resolution commencing local law number B of 2019 entitled, "A Local Law to Amend Section 104-16A to add a stop sign at the terminus of Green Tree Drive South at the point of its intersection with the Green Tree Drive South and Hemlock Lane."
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And so we're going to be setting the public hearing for February 25th for that local law
7:05.
at 7:05.
Okay.
Okay?
Resolution 128-18 of 2019, resolution designated the Town of Hyde Park representatives to the Hudson River Drinking Water Intermunicipal Council.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And Emily has volunteered to continue. The council requires one member to be a town board member, but Emily has agreed to be the alternate.
Nice.
Resolution 128-19 of 2019, resolution authorizing Hyde Park's participation in an application to the New York State Drinking Water Source Protection Program.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 128-20, resolution authorizing the town board of the town of Hyde Park as a circulation of intent to act as lead agency in conjunction with the State Environmental Quality Act review of the proposed sewer district for the town of Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 128.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Warren,
I wanted to talk before you go.
Oh,
That's
I'm
okay.
so sorry.
Okay,
I just got
that's all right.
distracted.
That's
But
all right.
Warren, did you want to just review that for a second?
Yeah, just for the record, this is the first step in the adoption of, hopefully, of the sewer district for the town of Hyde Park. We've designated this as a type 1 action under seeker, the Environmental Review Act, and our consultants, with a lot of input from me and our engineer and other members of the town board, have prepared the part 1 of the full environmental assessment form, which this resolution is adopting and authorizing the solicitation of any other interest in acting as lead agency among the interested agencies, but declaring the intent of the town board to act as lead agency for this project. So you all have the Part 1. It's been fully vetted, and by adopting the resolution, which you just did, you're adopting the Part 1 and authorizing the supervisor to sign it
Great.
and to disseminate for lead agency.
Great.
Thank you, Warren.
No problem.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Okay, Resolution 128-21 of 2019, resolution authorizing the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park to dissolve the Greenfields Water and Sewer District Advisory Committee for the Town of Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Last one.
Resolution 128-22 of 2019, resolution authorizing the Town of Hyde Park Supervisor to execute a consent on behalf of the Town of Hyde Park Town Board for the formation of the TR Sewage Works Corporation for T-Rex Hyde Park owner, LLC, pursuant to Article 10 of the Transportation Corporation Law for Phase 1A of the Belfield Development Project.
Second.
And I just if everybody wants a little update on what this means.
Yeah.
I already asked you earlier.
Yeah, Dave asked, because the Transportation Corporation sounds really intriguing to me. But basically, if you have more than one property that is sharing a sewer district or a sewer, basically it becomes a small sewer district. So if they are sharing it, they have to ask for the town to consent to that formation of that sewage district. And as part of it, they have to identify the rates, et cetera, that will be charged to each part of the district. So in the case of Belfield, they are going forward on the creation of their sewer district that will serve that entire property, which will probably be subdivided. So that is what this resolution is for. But the important part of it is also that a default agency has to be identified as part of that resolution, and meaning that if they were to, for some reason, fail to operate the district, that there has to be a public entity that would manage it and assume that control. That is being, that default entity would be the water authority, not the town, because we have gotten out of the water and sewer district business, and so that's the last thing that we would want. So again, the water authority is willing to take that responsibility on and they have a memorandum of understanding, so. That's pretty much it?
Yeah, it relieves the town of the responsibilities under the Transportation Corporation Law in conjunction with the examination and approval of the Transportation Corporation Sewage Works project. So DCWWA is basically assuming all of those responsibilities. And what Aileen meant by default was if they, for the first, they'll be posting a bond to ensure that the facility will operate for 5 years, at least 5 years. And if they default and the sewer becomes defunct, then the DCWWA would have the opportunity and the right to take over the running of that system. The town would not have any obligation in that regard.
But just to offer further clarity, this has absolutely nothing to do with our sewer district that we are looking to form in the traditional center of the town. So they're unrelated. However, they're based on the seeker mitigation that was established in the concept plan. Belfield did make a contribution to our district of $1.25 million. That is going to be utilized for the formation of our own district. So, but I just wanted to make that point that their district formation is not connected to our district formation, except in that one area where they contributed to the town. So, did we vote on that? Oh, so.
I don't remember.
No, but
I don't think
do we
so.
need a roll call or
No.
anything? No. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so may I,
Just one
Oh,
more.
okay,
We just need to have a oral vote for the record, authorizing our engineer to speak to the property owners in conjunction with the STAATSBURG sewer flooding resolution project.
I make a motion?
And I second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great, and
And we did an oral for Bircher, right?
the.
Yes,
We
we've
changed,
already
we did
amended.
that on the resolution, right?
All right, well, again, I want to welcome Neil Krupnick, and I know that he will be posting his contact information on the website, which he is, should be very proud of, all the work that he's done, and look forward to working with you, Neil.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
It's really an honor to be up here with you guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good.
Honor to be
All
here.
right,
Just before, we just added that to the agenda, we should vote on the actual resolution. Right, we had to vote to add?
we had to vote to add, and we didn't vote on the resolution.
Right.
Oh, okay.
The one that you
Let's
just
vote on
added.
So,
It's just an oral resolution.
yeah, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so may I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
No, no more.
We had
No.
public comment in the beginning of the meeting.